episode of Focus180 Podcast, and today we're meeting with Marie Emmanuel, and we're going to talk about emotional competence in the workplace. Marie is the CEO of Kairos, a wellness and empowerment community designed to help individuals live with passion and purpose. She is the author of the book Bloom Beauty, to remind all women to put self-care and self-love at the core of all their plans, proposals, and projects. And Marie speaks at conferences all around the world and offers workshops about self-discovery and self-love. And Marie, how are you today? And welcome to our
Thank you so much, Denny. I am fine. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No, this is good. And just for the listeners, where you're in Trinidad right now? Are you right
yes,
now?
Yes, I am. Trinidad and Tobago.
So we're getting bigger and bigger, and now we're in Trinidad. Imagine that. That's awesome. So, so are you ready? Are we doing this?
Yes.
Very good. So before we start, I'm going to ask you a question I ask everybody. Is there something that you want to share with the listeners so we get to know you a little bit more that most people wouldn't know about you? Something usually it's unusual. If you want to share, of course.
Yes, sure, absolutely. So I am the CEO of Kairos, which is a social wellness and empowerment community designed to help you live passionately and on purpose. I'm also the founder of Cheryl's Grace Enrichment Center, which is a multifunctional facility here in Las Cuevas, Trinidad, where I host my workshops and seminars, international retreats, and it's now functioning as an Airbnb resort.
Oh, so you do Airbnb also?
Yes, and I'm a super host.
What did you say? Sorry.
I made superhost status in the last.
Super host, very cool.
Oh, yes.
Oh, Airbnb is cool.
Yes.
So yeah.
I am domiciled here, and I work as a transformational coach here. Mm-hmm. And as you said before, I am an author, but it's 2 ebooks, Bloom Beauty and Empower. And I'm actually in the middle of, well, not in the middle, I'm almost done with writing my bestseller, which should be launched in October or November.
Wow, impressive.
So what folks you may not know about me, Denny, is that I came from a fashion background. And so I will always be an incurable fashionista. And now I am an incurable passionista. So I love dancing, I love music, and I am just enjoying being the designer of my life right now.
Very nice. Very nice. Seems like you're very busy. Hey, can you tell me about your work experience, your business, entrepreneurship, and everything? What have you done in the past right now? The last 20 years.
So I worked for 27 years for the United States Postal Service. I worked in different capacities, but my last capacity was a manager of a medium-sized post office in Newark, New Jersey.
Oh, you did?
Right? I also, while I worked there, I also ran my own fashion business parallel to that. And I had a private clientele. So I did fashion for about 15 years before I left the United States.
Awesome. So you work at a postal, then in the meantime, you did fashion. Did you have a business then, or you work for somebody else? That was your own business, right?
It was my own business. I had my own salon with my own label.
That's really cool. So tell us, I know you said it a little bit at the beginning, but tell us, I heard that do you have like 2 businesses or one without the Airbnb, the one that we talk about, emotional competence, now you're coaching. You want to tell me a little bit more about it?
So what I am doing now, so fashion is a little bit on the back burner. So now my business is being a retreat host, an Airbnb host, and a transformational coach. So that's the business that I do. I coach clients on one-to-one basis, I also do group workshops, and the other part of that would be speaking at different conferences or women's group or anything like that.
Very cool. Very good. So here's an easy question for you to answer because I can see it already. I can feel it. Why do you do what you do?
Why do I do what I do? So after I experienced that personal transformation, I did some soul alignment work, and my soul's intention is harmony, and who I am is the possibility of leadership, empowerment, and inspiration. And what I stand for in life is that every human being on this planet be empowered through self-compassion, self-acceptance, and self-love. Because I believe that everything begins and ends with self-love. So that is the passion that I have that make me want to be able to awaken all of humanity to finding their truest nature, finding their passion, and finding their purpose.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So we're going to talk about emotional competence. For people like me who don't know much about it, do you mind to explain to me and the listener, what does that mean, emotional? I know it has to do with emotion somewhere, but emotional competence, what does that mean?
Yeah. Emotional competence really means managing all of your internal systems, right? And what I mean by internal systems is managing, is getting back to self-love, is the foundation of who you are, which is how you're connected to your body, your mind, your heart, and your spirit, right? Mm-hmm. The other part of that is managing your thoughts, managing your behavior, and most importantly, the work that I do is to show you how to identify the things that get in the way of us loving ourselves and performing at our highest potential, right? So in the workplace before, we've heard a lot about emotional quotient, right? We heard a lot about IQ, intelligence quotient. Emotional competence is different in that those other systems were measurement systems, and they pretty much measured you against somebody else, or measured you against a list of criteria. Because how do you know if somebody's IQ is high, or so you have to measure them against something, right? Yes. But emotional competence is really just about you, the individual, and how well that individual can manage their systems and operate on a level that would have them achieve their highest potential. So they're not competing against anyone. You're not being measured against anyone, because we all have different gifts to give, right? We all came here with different gifts and abilities and talents, right? So yes, we're moving away from that old paradigm, Denny, where we were competing against each other and measuring ourselves against, seeing how we measure up to other people, right? So with emotional competence, it's getting us back to understanding the truth of who we are, what is our purpose here, and how we can contribute and give and share our gifts and talents with the world. So it's definitely fourth or fifth dimensional thinking, rather than coming from that third dimensional thinking of scarcity and competition and lack and greed and all of that. Yes. So it really promotes a better, higher consciousness for humanity.
Very good. And I love the fact when you say, because I'm a coach too, when you say, do not compare yourself with anybody else. I always say, compare yourself with the you in 5 years from now. That's the only person you should compare yourself, right? No, this is you. Just very cool. But maybe a tougher question for you, but why, let's say I'm an employer and I got people, or I'm a manager and I got 5, 6, 7 people under my supervision. Why should I care about emotion? Why should I care about this, first of all? And Why should I care about emotional competence? Because most people thinking about results, right? Money, revenues. Why should I care about emotional competence?
Well, Denny, that's a really good question, but I have to ask you some questions and I hope you can answer me. So
I'm
if
in
you are the
trouble.
manager and you have a group of employees, would you want those employees to be happy?
Of course.
Would you want them to get along with each other?
Yes.
Right? Would you
Yeah.
want those employees to come to work leaving their problems and issues behind and not bring it to work with them?
Definitely. You
And
don't.
of course, do you want them to have pride in what they do? Do you want them to operate with integrity and loyalty to the company?
Of course.
So
Yeah.
this is what you get when you give your employees access to emotional freedom. That is what you get. So when we master our emotions and we are able to manage our internal systems and our emotions effectively, it filters into everything we do, right? How you feel about yourself, how you're able to cope with stress, how you make decisions, how you work with teams, how confident you are, right? So
Yes.
all of those things is what you're looking for as an employer anyway. But
That's
if you invest in your employees, that's what you're gonna get. That's exactly what you're gonna get. You know, so when employees perform at that higher level of competency, it increases productivity for you. It makes you look good as a manager. The employees become an asset because if you have your employees operating on that level, you're not going to want them to leave, right? And it overall promotes for a more harmonious workplace, which makes everybody happy, and because
yeah.
everybody's happy. Yeah.
That was
So
a
it's
good
a
answer.
beautiful cycle. It's a beautiful cycle,
Yeah.
and it all starts with the individual. So before what we were trained to do in society is operate outside of ourselves and look for everything outside of ourselves. But with this emotional competence and combined with self-love practices, you get to operate from the inside out. And everything, all the answers that you're looking for is inside of you. So when you go there and you start from that place, that's where you connect with your inner wisdom, and that's where you get the ability to have power, to have the things that you want to create be
Yeah.
created.
Good. If I ask you, I mean, you talk about self-love a few times. I hear it since we've been talking. You want to expand on that a little bit? What is it, and why? Because we know people who don't have it. Some people have it. So you want to tell me how come we don't have it? I thought,
Yeah, it's a very esoterical term right now because a lot of people don't really understand what self-love is. And if you ask the average person if they love themselves, they're going to say, heck yeah, right?
Yeah.
But we really as a society didn't focus on what it really means. So self-love is the foundation by which we're connected to our heart, our body, our mind, and our soul, right? It's self-love. It has many definitions, but it's a practice and it's a choice that you have to make. So you have to choose every single day to nourish your body, to eat the right foods, right? You have to choose to feed your mind with positive thoughts. Stay away from negativity, especially in this environment today where social media and all the negativity that's going around. You have to make a choice every day to stay away from that, to feed yourself with positive music, positive things that you look at, shows, and so on. As far as your body, your mind, your heart, and your soul, with your soul, you have to listen to what your heart is telling you. A lot of times we're not trained to listen to our intuition. And when the heart's intelligence is where all the answers are. So we're always in our headspace a lot. We're trying to analyze and figure out and compare, and everything is up here. Mm-hmm. But we need to come out. We need our mind sometimes, but we really have to have that balance between our mind and our heart space, because when you need the answers to certain things in life, you really have to go and listen to what your heart is saying and what your soul is saying to you, your soul's intention is saying to you. So that is, I remember like 5 years ago when I started this work in self-love, people looked at me like I was the airy fairy from Canterbury because it sounded so woo-woo, But now, today, it's becoming a popular term. I'm seeing on social media, people are talking about how important it is to love yourself, how important it is to tap into your own intuition, how important it is to believe in yourself, all these things, because we're now moving into a new era.
We do.
An era that where people are realizing that we need to go within to find everything. We can't really go on the outside like we used to before, because everything is so uncertain. Look at the world we're living in right now, So even the experts of experts are confused, like, I don't know what to do. I don't know. So we really have to rely on that intuitive source that we have inside of us that connects us to a higher intelligence. And that's when you're operating from that place, you don't have any fear. You're just certain about things. You get messages from the universe and everything. It's just a beautiful place to start to be operating from.
Very good. That's pretty powerful stuff. Now, let me ask you a question. Let's say somebody becomes a client, and I don't know if you can share, but do you have some kind of process? Can you describe a system to help people to become, I don't know, more self-love or more emotional competent? How's that work?
Yeah. So the work that I do is based on a methodology and a philosophy that there are 13 different archetypes or personalities that exist in us as human beings. And that's every human being. It doesn't preclude anyone. So it doesn't matter what level of education, what your status is, how much money you have, it doesn't matter. As long as you're a human being, and as long as you were a child, you would have these personalities that's operating beneath the surface, under your subconscious. And they're doing things and causing you to think certain thoughts and behave in certain ways that you don't even know that it's happening. And so these personalities started, they were developed when you were a child, about 3, 4, or 5 years old, and something happened that rocked your world, and in order to compensate for whatever it is you were going through, you developed a personality. So we weren't born with our personalities, right? We developed them around 3, 4, and 5. We got maybe 1 or 2. Then when you go through puberty, you develop some more personalities. And then when you're about a young adult, between 19 and 21, you also developed a personality. So the thing is, Denny, these personalities were created to protect us against something when we were 3, 4, or 5 years old. But then we carry those behaviors and those toxic habits right through into our adult life. And I say toxic habits because even though they were created to protect us, when that situation was done and we're living our lives, the same tactics that was used is not necessary for different things that we're going through. So what it does, it becomes self-sabotaging. It forces you to do self-sabotage and self-bullying and negative self-chatter, self-talk and self-chatter, and all of those things, right? Because we don't know what to do with these personalities. We don't know how to control them or manage them. So a lot of times, like I said, we don't even know they're functioning in us, right? Yeah. So when a person comes to work with me, the first thing I do is I give an assessment and we identify their top 3 to 5 personalities that's running or hijacking their lives.
Okay.
That they don't know anything about. So I deal with that area of life that you don't know, you don't even know that this is happening. It's the unknown, right?
Yes.
And after we do the assessment and we identify your top 3, then we go into an investigative process of finding out everything about those personalities. Like what triggers it? What are the big fat lies and storylines that it forces you to think? What are the toxic habits that it forces you to do, right? What motivates it? How did it spark? So we do a complete investigation of it, because in order to take back the control, you have to understand how it works in you, right? And then once we complete that, we go into, which is like the remedy, which is a 4-step process of awareness, which is because as soon as you start discovering about these personalities, you're going to start recognizing that when it happens, when it shows up, and you'll be like, there it is again, right? Yeah. So in that moment, when you recognize like, oh, I just did that, that's the awareness, right? Then reflection, you have to reflect on, well, what was it trying to protect me from? Why did it show up? What's it doing? And that's when you have to go back. Right? And the third part of that would be change in the moment. So right then and there, you create a change of something, a different behavior or a different thought, right in that moment. And the last part would be integration, which is you do that over and over and over. So you start to create new neural pathways in your brain and retrain your brain to think differently and to stop those negative thoughts and replace them or reframe them with something more positive, something that's more self-serving for you. Good. And it takes a lot of practice. It's not easy work.
No, it's not. No, it's not. I just want to repeat I wrote them down. So tell me if I'm right. Awareness is the first stage. Reflection, change the moment, and integration, right?
Integration.
Very good.
So that would be the process. That would be a work in progress for you. You would have to keep doing that over and over every time you recognize an appearance of one of those mean personalities.
Yeah, work in progress. That's what we are here, right? Hey, do you mind if we jump into the success question? It's really easy for you, actually. You ready?
Before we go there, I wanted to ask you are you aware that you may have a mean personality?
I have a mean personality. I thought years ago. What do you ask? And I asked as well. I'm not mean though. So are you saying everybody has a mean personality?
There are 13 different ones. We have like perfectionist. We have the good guy or good girl.
Yeah.
Achievement junkie. Those are just 3 to name a few of them.
I thought for a second you were calling me mean. I was like, I'm a mean person.
No.
Maybe before, not so much today. I don't know. No, it is. I agree. Yeah, it's there somewhere. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, a different level, right? Yeah.
Like for instance, sometimes you hear people say, "Oh, I'm a perfectionist," but that's just the way I am. But that's really not the way you are. That is just a personality that took over and is running the show.
Yeah.
Underneath all of that, we're no personalities. We're just human beings who want to live and love and laugh and be happy.
I agree.
Right? So people don't realize that, yes, you can do something about those personalities, that because it keeps you stuck, it doesn't serve you, it gets in the way of who you want to be. You know, like one of mine was, I thought I was a shy person before, and that is definitely a self-sabotaging
Yes.
thought, because really and truly, I have to go back and find out what caused me to think that I'm a shy person. You hear some people say I'm an introvert. You're not really an introvert. You developed a personality and you feed that personality over years until you believe yourself that that's who you are.
Good. Yeah, powerful words, my dear. I could listen to you forever, but we got to do this pretty quickly. Success question. I mean, if you don't mind, in your opinion, 3 characteristics, human traits that you think that it's necessary to be successful in your industry. Actually, let's talk about as a coach, like in your industry. What do we need?
I would have to say, number one, integrity, compassion, definitely integrity, compassion, and understanding.
Integrity, compassion, understanding. Let's talk a little bit more about integrity. I hear it a lot. So what do you mean by that?
Integrity is one of the most important pillars of success for anything. And to me, that's where it starts, because integrity goes back to your word, what you say you're going to do, right? But I don't want to really focus on integrity from the normal definition of it, because then that gets into right, wrong, duality, like right, wrong, good, bad, blame, and all of that. The way I know integrity now is whole and complete, like 100%, right? So you can't have some integrity. You either have integrity or you don't have it. So it's 100% commitment to what you say you're going to do.
Oh, I like
right?
it. I like it.
So if it is that I am going to start a business and I'm going to do blah, 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 that's what you're going to do, and you do not stop until you accomplish that, right? It can show up in so many ways. If you have integrity in a company, the company has a vision and mission statement and all of that. And how often we see companies that are not following what they say they're going to do.
That's right.
So that's impacting the integrity. And you cannot, success doesn't stand on no integrity. So anything that I attempt to do, I have that relationship, and it goes back again to self-love, because when you're at that place of self-love and that connection to yourself, you know that when you say you're going to do something, you're going to do it. And Denny, I'm telling you, that is what is responsible for me being able to say that I get everything that I want, and I do everything that I say I'm going to do.
I'm pretty sure you do. I can see that. That's beautiful. And actually, that's right. That's good. And this is one of the things I coach and I teach to you. When you say something, you better do it, especially in business. Hey, what's the one thing you do every single day to become a better woman, a better businesswoman, entrepreneur?
I start my day with a connection, and I have an advantage because I live in an area where it's just that connection to nature, and just being, taking long walks on the beach and meditating. I have to meditate. I have to do yoga. So basically, my routine is self-love, which is nourishing and taking care of the foundation of who I am. Taking care of my body, my mind, my spirit, and my heart. What my heart desires are, what my heart is calling for, and listening to that and following that. So.
Nice. Awesome. What's next for you? Let's say 5 years from, I know you're very busy. You did so much already. You're an author, you're a speaker, you got, I don't know, many coaching business and Airbnb on the side. So what's next for you? I mean, is there anything bigger?
I will continue standing in the work that I do, which is awakening humanity to its true self, passion and purpose. I will continue to do that. I used to set goals, like 5-year goals and stuff. I don't do that anymore because I am operating now in a quantum field where I understand that now everything is about now, not down the road. So I'll give you an example of that. Like when I opened 2018, when I launched Cheryl's Grace Enrichment Center, I said 5 years from then I was going to host International Women's Retreat. And then one day I woke up and I said, why 5 years down the road? Why not now? Now is the only time you have. And that's something that I use a lot because I'm very, very concerned about that one time, which is now. And that's why I call my company Passion Kairos. Kairos means that precipitous moment for action or decision. Now is the only time we have, right? So I was able, because of that, I was able to host my first International Women's Retreat 1 year after I opened the building. So I do understand there's a place for setting goals and all of that, but where I am in my life right now, I don't do it.
No, and I respect that. It's powerful.
So 5 years down the road, I will continue to be standing in, being a stand for everyone to get to that place of self-love and self-compassion and self-acceptance.
Nice.
And because that's my purpose here.
It's a very good purpose, by the way. We need you. We need more like you. Best book recommendation, if you have one.
The book that I read recently, last year actually, that really helped me a lot was Breaking the Habit of Being Myself. It's a book by Joe Dispenza. And why I love that book and I recommend it to other people because it helped me to overcome a long disempowering belief that I've had since I was a little child. I would say that my fear of loneliness, and it's something that I had dealt with when I went through transformation, but I guess there was still a little bit left that I had to deal with. And because of the pandemic and me being here in Trinidad and all my families in the United States, it triggered that fear came back up again for me. And I said, okay, I'm going to do something to get rid of it for good. And that book came with a 30-day meditation that allowed me to do that. And I had the time, the 30 days, because we were locked down. So it helped me to get rid of a deep, dark fear that I've had for years.
How about a quote? I know we talked about that before. You have your own quote, right?
Yes, I have several of my own. And the one that I like a lot is I have an interiority complex. And that's interiority, not inferiority.
Interior, yeah.
I have an interiority complex. I am addicted to managing my internal systems.
Nice. That's nice. Good addiction to have. All right, so I'm going to give you, let's say, 1 minute or a minute and a half to promote yourself, to tell, I know you're in Trinidad, well, say your name, the company, what you do really quickly, and how main importance, how people can buy your books, how people can book an appointment with you. I don't know, whatever you want to say.
Yeah. Well, the best way to get in touch with me is through my website, which is www.passionkairos.com. And we can put a link to it.
We will.
Yeah. So that's where you can find information on if you need someone to speak at your function. You can find if you need one-to-one coaching. I have some complimentary stuff on there that people can enjoy, like different meditations. You can just download the meditations, or you can have a complimentary consultation with me, a 45-minute consultation. And I strongly encourage people to take advantage of the consultation because speaking with me doesn't necessarily mean you have to sign up for my coaching program. You can be going through something and I can help you with it right then on the spot, or give you some advice, or just help you see things from a different perspective. So why not take advantage of that? And I say, Denny, I don't coach any and anyone, because with this work that I do, you have to be ready. You really, really have to be ready to be committed to going within and doing this work if you want to free yourself from those personalities. So,
Yes.
yeah. But I do, like I say, I do speak to people and help them work out certain things and give them advice as to what they can do without even the coaching. So yes, I am also on Instagram and Facebook as @passionkairos.com, @passionkairos, sorry.
Passion Kairos. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. I was going to say something. Oh, when you said you have to be ready, you have to be ready. And that's right, because even if you read a book, if you're not ready to understand the message or comprehend the message, you never get it. So I love the fact that you say, as a coach, we work with people who are ready to move forward, not everybody,
Yeah.
right? So if you're
Not
ready.
everybody. And when I do the consultation, I can determine if that person is ready to go there, because you really have to go. And what I do as a coach is I hold your hand and I take you into those dark places. I stay with you until you're able to be transformed. So
Very
what
nice.
I get from that is I get to see people transform. And I have that. I see them for life. I have that. And what they get is themselves.
Good. Now, what I meant, what I said, I was going to say, if you're ready to be transformed, then contact her. Yeah, absolutely. Don't be shy. Just call.
Right.
I mean, if you're ready, right? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say about 30 seconds, a little message, then we'll come back together and say goodbye together. That's cool. So let me read this, or I'll try to say something. First of all, I want to thank you, right? Thank you for everything, taking the time. I think your knowledge, I think some people are ready for you, and I hope they're going to contact you and you're going to help them out to get out of where they need to be, right? So guys, if you're good at what you do, if you're successful in your business, I'm always looking for speakers. So if you're really good and you want to do this, what you need to do is I'm going to put Zeall's email address right here below. Just contact her. She's going to ask you for a bio. She's going to tell you what we do, how we do it, and what the process is. And if you like what Anne-Marie said today, if you got something from it, take the time to subscribe, like, and put a comment there. We need to, the more people we have, the more people we're going to help, right? So, yes. Anne-Marie, anything you want to add at the end to conclude this beautiful podcast, powerful podcast?
Yes. Well, another famous quote of mine, I liked, everything begins and ends with self-love.
Very powerful.
Everything begins and ends with self-love. It's the beginning and the end.
Very good. I'll finish mine like I always do. Guys, stay focused on what you really, really want.